Next, we have another industry player who is more as a managed service provider, more into digital transformation, helping government entities undertake digital transformation. I'd like to welcome Mr. Piyus Kanti, CEO of Cloudstrats Technologies, to come on stage and talk about his initiatives and vision.
Thank you very much for inviting us here. And it's a pleasure coming back to UP because most of our team belongs here. One good thing that we've been trying to do is, apart from digital transformation in the early years when we started our journey, we have we've graduated into an area where we're now looking at government agencies with a lot of teams like Niti Aayog, a lot of health departments, especially during COVID, a lot of digital transformation initiatives in states like Maharashtra, Delhi, and others. We've learned a lot. And one thing that I feel that we've learned is essentially the certain things need to be there. So I'm just taking the liberty of showing a couple of videos of what we do. Essentially, we've been a digital transformation company for about 8 years and more. For the first six, we learned from the industry, learned from the government, and how we've been interfacing with citizens. A couple of things that we are trying to do is essentially now around innovating with products, especially in the artificial intelligence space. And we want to be a suite of products that can be accessed by almost everybody. So we want to be the platform where somebody can just come in, and if they wanted a translation engine, and if I was speaking in English and they wanted to understand it in Marathi, they would be able to do that today. Uh, a ton of places that we saw. So essentially, three areas that we're trying to solve. Can you move forward? The first one that we're trying to do is with artificial intelligence, we want to make the world see better. And our final objective and frontier is essentially to make blind people see as well, so that they are able to look around without having the power of vision. So can we enable that? How are we doing today? We've been able to develop solutions around identity, surveillance, detection, and security, which essentially enables facial recognition, whether it is detection, identification, matching, dwell times in a particular video. So these are classic examples of what can be done for the defense, as well as public safety, as well as common use cases that could just be for just verifying who is working for us. It could be as simple as that. We've recently now launched a attendance mechanism which can be available on a phone, and then we're trying to optimize that. In essence, any application builder, any new startup can access our technology and then can use it in their devices, in their applications, and the same we also provide for the government. Initial key cases could be security, so we're doing weapon detection, surveillance. Let's move forward. It could be that in certain areas in manufacturing, etc., if you want to detect whether people are with gears or not, we help that. Quality control, if you want to count, if you want to make sure that something is as clear and important, what is supposed to be, we measure the quality of that item. We've recently got part of National Logistics Program for logistics, so that we are able to create artificial intelligence solutions and integrate that backwards into the government. Somebody from Forest Department was here, so we're trying to develop and a certain use cases where we can detect fires from CCTV cameras which are already deployed, so you don't have to actually, so the response time to solve a particular problem is much faster. We have a ton of CCTV footage that we gather in smart cities, which could also be used for identification of crashes or accidents on the road. Thereby, we can save lives in real time, where we get to know that a person has to be picked up from a certain intersection. The other area that we look at is essentially the language barrier. India being so many people, so many diverse cultures, we want to enable trade, and the best way to enable trade is for you to speak the language. Now, it's not possible for us to understand each and every language. That's why we are using artificial intelligence to enable people to sort of remove all the language barriers that they have. It could be for citizen services. Recently, we did a pilot in Dubai where we are now trying to move any person who travels. It's simpler for him to just use the verbal or written communication, and he can just scan a photograph on any placard and just scan it and see what it means and probably apply that. Similarly, we are also working with a few government agencies to probably improve how people can interface with digital governance and e-governance applications. Next. If we just look at the population projection, this is where China is, and probably in a few years, we would be overtaking them. The amount of people, we are Atmanirbhar Bharat, which means that more and more international companies will come to our shores. Also, when we travel from a Maharashtra or a Gujarat or a Andhra to Uttar Pradesh, that's another area where we see NLP and the usage of language translations, etc., can be a huge boost to our economy. So that's why we feel the need for that. We have a ton of languages like you see here, and Hindi being one of the prominent languages, but there are other 23 languages which are very, very important in India, and especially enabling these language people to interface with the languages of the world is something that we see a very bright future for, because then a small businessman sitting in the city of Guntur could actually make a sale probably in the United States without having to know English. And that's what we want to enable. If we just look at scripts, there are a ton of scripts. In fact, we are working with a couple of departments to understand Pashto as a language just for defense. We're working with people where we're trying to natively work with Rohingya, people who move from one place to the other, and how they write and what they're writing, and if we can translate that and bring it back into the main ecosystem, we make people connect with each other. And third is essentially the same technology we're now using for radiology. It's easy for a country, for India, to actually empower a lot of schemes, but it's more difficult to bring that data back, and you can't have that many educated people who can read that data. So what we are trying to work here is understand the need that if there could be an artificial enabled doctor or a radiologist who could read your report at the point the report is being generated, instead of you having to wait for a longer time. So we see a lot of cases of diagnostics that can be developed upon. You can skip a few slides and just come to the summary. So during COVID, we actually worked with the city of Mumbai, the state of Maharashtra, the state of Punjab, state of Delhi, and a lot of, we worked with Niti Aayog, especially for moving all the foreign freight and understanding the data ecosystem and leverage our artificial intelligence to ensure that we were able to contain the progress of COVID, so to speak. This is essentially the summary of problems, and we feel that as a firm, we can enable a lot more. We see Uttar Pradesh as a big value proposition for us, and that's why we're building sort of a center of excellence here with the state to make sure that we are able to not only develop solutions better, but also empower the people at large to be able to use it, and the same for the governance as well. Thank you very much.